What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I do want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you who have subscribed. We finally hit my goal of 100 subscribers this year, and with that, it is finally time for me to announce this giveaway. So all you have to do to enter this giveaway is subscribe to my channel and then leave a comment on this video and you will be entered. Now the giveaway is going to be for a $20 gift card of your choice to any restaurant that you can think of. It could be fast food, it could be a local chain in your hometown, whatever you want. I'll figure out a way to get that gift card to you if you are the winner. So it only takes 2 seconds. It's the easiest $20 that you will ever make. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below. Also, this contest is going to be going on over the course of 2 weeks. So not next week's video, but the week after. That's when I will announce the winner. So the goal of this is to ultimately give back to you guys, because you guys are the drivers for this channel and the growth that it has had thus far. With that being said, let's dive into today's recipe. Alright, so for today's recipe, we are going to be making Gyoza Dumplings. Now this is a Japanese style of dumpling that is ultimately pan fried and then steamed, so it's got a nice crisp bottom to it, but it's nice, soft, and chewy on top, just like a normal dumpling. Also, this is this channel's birthday, and it is going to be my birthday on Monday, and Lunar New Year's is also going on at the moment. So we're going to make these dumplings in celebration of all three of those things. So join the celebration with me and let's dive into this. Alright, let's get started on making these absolutely delicious Gyoza dumplings. The entire recipe will be down below with all the conversions you will need. So go ahead and grab a cutting board, and you're going to need 200 grams of green cabbage. Now you can use bok choy here or napa cabbage, and both of those you will not have to cook in the later step, but if you're using a green cabbage like me, we are going to have to cook it a little bit to soften it up. Also, be sure to remember to take the tough core out of your cabbage. And we're just going to chop this up really thinly, then give it a quarter turn and just chop it up into very small chunks. Once your cabbage has been finely chopped, we're going to grab a small bowl and just add all of our cabbage in, and then give it a decent amount of salt. Like, go heavy with the salt here. This is going to draw out moisture. Give it a quick toss and set it aside while you chop your other vegetables. So now grab yourself 2 spring onions and just chop the kind of floppy ends off. They're not very crisp and I like to get rid of them. Then I'm going to finely chop these up. Go ahead and practice your knife skills of cutting really thinly. Once you have all of your green onion cut into fine rings, we're just going to take it and chop it up very small like this. Now you're going to need 1 clove of garlic, and the easiest way to peel these is to just hit it with a knife and then peel the skin directly off that garlic clove. And once again, we're just going to take our knife and very thinly slice this clove of garlic up. And once you have it completely sliced into very thin slices, we're going to take it and do the same thing we did with the green onion and just chop it up very small. Now grab yourself a bowl, scoop your garlic up and set it aside. Now you're going to need 2 1-inch knobs of ginger, and I'm just going to thinly slice this after I've peeled it. The same thing with the garlic, just chopping it up very small. Alright, so at this point you should have all of your vegetables chopped, and your cabbage should have a lot of water drawn out of it. So now we're going to rinse all of this salt off, and then we're just going to take our hand and strain it as much as we possibly can by squeezing all the water out. Now compile all of your vegetables into one bowl, and since we're using green cabbage, we are going to have to cook this. So grab a medium-sized pot, put it on high, and just cook this cabbage for about 1 or 2 minutes just to get it a little bit cooked and softened. Now set all of your vegetables back into that bowl and add 300 grams of ground pork. I'm using 80/20 here. Then just break this pork up a little bit before adding your seasonings. To this, you're going to add half a teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon each of light and dark soy sauce, a few cracks of fresh black pepper or white pepper, a small splash of rice vinegar, and then 3 or 4 drops of sesame oil. Don't go too crazy because it can overpower this. Then just massage that together with your hand. Let this marinate in the fridge while we make our wrappers. So to make these wrappers, we're going to boil 200 milliliters or 0.85 cups of water and then add that to 300 grams of all-purpose flour. Stir this with a spoon until it cools down. Now these are very time consuming to make. They are worth it in my opinion to make them from scratch, but if you can buy them at the grocery store, I would personally opt for that just because it is very time consuming, but these were very good. So after I've got my dough cooled off, I'm just going to roll it into a ball essentially and just knead this by hand for 10 minutes. And this dough is very satisfying. It has almost the texture of Play-Doh after it comes together, and it's pretty fun to work with. So if you like making dough and you want to try it out, by all means make these by hand. Once your dough is nice and smooth, we're just going to cover this up and let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes before we make our wrappers, just to give it a little time to rest. After that 5 minutes is up, we're going to take our dough ball and cut it into 2 dough balls. Then I'm going to take those dough balls and punch a hole through them and then just kind of roll them out into a bagel shape like this. Now the reason that I'm doing this is to attempt to get more evenly shaped dumplings. That way they're all kind of the same size and cook evenly. And I will be the first to say this, that these did not turn out to be perfectly even. You just want them to be relatively close, and this is a simple method. So once you have your 2 dough rings, we're just going to break them in half, and then we're going to line these dough logs up. So here I'm taking my dough log, just lining it up in half, and then I'm going to cut it to make sure they're even, line those up, cut that in half, and then we're going to line them up one more time, and then we're going to cut that in half, and then cut those halves in half. That's a lot of halves, but you get the gist of this. You should have 16 dumpling wrappers per log. I will say some of these were a little bit small and I just ended up combining them, but you're shooting for 16 per log of dough. Now take each individual little dough square, roll that up into a ball, and then just use your rolling pin to kind of flatten this out into a thin shape. So once you have it as a ball, I'm using a makeshift rolling pin as a water bottle, and if you made this dough correctly, it should be very easy to work with. So essentially we're just flattening each of these balls into very thin circles, and I would say that they're not supposed to be paper thin, but very close. Also, if you're using store-bought dumpling wrappers, you will have a much more even shape and they'll be a little bit easier to work with, but I found these to be very easy to work with and pretty beginner friendly in my opinion. So once you have your wrapper all rolled out, you're going to apply a little bit of flour, just dust it barely with flour, and just stack these up until all of your dough balls have been rolled out. Now once you have rolled out all of your dough, we can take our gyoza wrappers and just lightly brush the edge with a little bit of water. You don't need a lot here. This is just going to help the process for sealing it. Now I'm taking about a teaspoon, maybe a little bit under depending on the size. Then just start by pinching the middles together, followed up by the ends. This is going to make wrapping these a lot easier and making a little design. Now you could stop here and just have a sealed dumpling and it would taste just as fine, but I like to make mine into a little design here. So the best way to do this is ensure you have a nice lip on the outside of your dumpling and then kind of just fold it over like you see me doing here. I know this isn't the traditional way, but it gives it a nice little design and it's not as bland as just folding it together. And that's pretty much it for the wrapping process, and you can have dumplings that you will be proud of. Once you have all of your dumplings wrapped, it is time for the fun part. So we're going to carry these over to the stove and just add enough vegetable or canola oil to the bottom of a nonstick pan to coat it. And you're just going to put this over medium heat, and I like to place my dumplings kind of in a ring pattern all the way around. It is fine if they're touching. You just want to be sure that the bottom is making good contact and they stay upright. So once you have all of your dumplings in here, we're just going to let them crisp up. You can check the bottoms until they're nice and brown, and once they've gotten a nice deep brown color, we're going to take a third of a cup of water and immediately throw your lid on the top of this because it will sizzle up. And while this is cooking, we can make our dipping sauce. So I'm adding in about 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, a few dashes of sesame oil, a squiz of sriracha, and then a squiz of honey. I would say that I'm using about 2 tablespoons here, and then a few cracks of black pepper. And I don't want to hear any whining about the sauce. Some people like it spicy, more sweet, or salty, so adjust it to taste. Now let's head back over to our dumplings. so you'll have to keep adding water as you go, but they should be nice and translucent when they're done. Alright everybody, the gyoza dumplings are done here. I've got my dipping sauce, so let's try these out. As you can see, they're nice and crispy on the bottom, but then the top is nice and soft. So let's go ahead and give this a taste test. So initially, right off the bat, you get that difference of texture between the nice soft top and the crunch, but that sauce makes these dumplings extremely good. So out of the middle of the dumpling, the biggest flavors that I'm getting are the pork flavor, and then the ginger is just perfect enough on the spice, and then that saltiness from the sauce just makes this perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is one of the best things that I've made thus far on this channel, and I'll definitely be making these again. With having a cooking channel, I make a bunch of stuff, and I think that one of the benefits of doing so is that you always get to try something new, and this is something I've never had before, but it's one of those things that's so unique and different. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I highly recommend making them. Alright guys, and that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe to my channel to be entered in the giveaway. And with that being said, I will see you guys next week on the next episode.